Crazy stuff there. And we do often see the Nautilus picked with that Kai'Sa, like it's just a very strong combination. However, they've already been notified that C9 has their AD carry from that first pick, so Team Liquid doesn't feel pressured to lock in the AD carry just yet. Instead, they're going to pick up the roles that C9 hadn't already locked in for themselves. So they'll get Nautilus, they'll get Ryze, and now let's see how Cloud9 wants to do these next two picks before our second part of the bans come in. Also worth noting, we talked a little bit about the Gnar and Chase being banned to target Summit on the side of Cloud9. C9 also paying a respect ban, getting rid of that Zillion, taking that away from Bjergsen, knowing how proficient he is on that champion. And C9's second pick, they're going for the Tahm Kench into the Nautilus bot side.
Yeah, exactly. Keep Berserker safe. Utilize that Tahm Kench to be able to devour up that Jinx. Keep him safe from the Nautilus ultimate, from the Ryze, flying in on top with the Realm Warp. I always find it interesting, you know, when I'm in the queue, kind of seeing like what summoners people have, because sometimes that can give you a hint to what they might be picking. I'm not going to give anything away.
Okay, yeah. You got the
I'm seeing some summoners here that maybe was giving me an idea on what they might want to play. It is going to be Viktor here from Fudge. So back to more of a kind of stock and standard type of mid laner. He did play Viktor, I want to say, in lock-in, but hasn't actually played it in the spring tournament. So yeah, 3 Viktor games in lock-in, hasn't played it during the actual spring split proper, but it is one of those ones that he was practicing a lot, you know, alongside with that Corki when it was kind of that every single time. Zeri would be exciting, and I think that the major Zeri nerfs, I believe, were on 12.5B, which is not actually on competitive yet. We're on just 12.5, not 12.5B. So Zeri going to be in there for Hansama. It is on some of those changes, though, obviously, kind of pushing more towards the standard crit builds instead of the full-on, like, Triforce build.
The Bruiser type build,
exactly.
yeah.
So, you know, lower base AD, you can go for that build, and I have still been seeing that some in competitive, but it's not quite as powerful. The Sheen proc is a lot lower, obviously, on the Triforce with the base AD nerf, and they're just kind of like, they're trying to have some drawbacks as far as high damage output with tankiness of the build, which is kind of like what it was last patch.
Right.
So now you either have to sacrifice some damage and some scaling, going for this Triforce Titanic, or you go for more, you know, on-hit style, kind of crit marksman, but then you're obviously a lot more squishy and vulnerable.
Well, Zeri's power is the fact that she is so fast, it can be hard to lock her down without some point and click. And right now, there is no such thing on the Cloud9 squad. So Hansama could have some pretty big pop-off potential here. However, we do have a pretty rare case in draft here for this game, in that the second part of the bans have come to us now, and no jungler is locked in on either side. Very, very rare to see that, so some jungle bans are coming out here. Lee, Gragas, Xin Zhao, Poppy, all 4 jungling-capable champions banned away.
But Jarvan is still up. You know, there's still things like the Trundle is still available. You know, there's Viego still available. The jungle pool is fairly deep, you know, when you move down past that S tier, so still a lot of options here. The Gragas ban feels like that's more pointing towards Bwipo, you know, to try to actually deny that as kind of like a safety pick if they're expecting him to try to neutralize. Viego is probably going to be for Santorin, but theoretically it could be for Bwipo. He did have the 1 game on it. It didn't look great, you know, compositionally. I just didn't think it fit into their team as well. This time around, they at least have a primary form of engage with the Nautilus, so I think you can kind of get away with something like the Viego a little bit more if they want to. Tryndamere going to be locked in here for Summit. Hullbreaker Tryndamere, strong as ever, but we have been seeing some more crit builds mixed in as well, even though Hullbreaker was not nerfed for melee champions. Some people are moving away from it and going straight towards Gale Force, you know, kind of for that all-in damage. Well, Trundle for Blaber, okay.
If the goal is neutralizing Summit, he has picked the champion that almost demands to be neutralized because of how it can take over the game and just ruin everything for you. How is Bwipo going to deal with this?
It's also so interesting because generally you would say if you want to neutralize, you want to go a tank, but Trundle kind of says, nah, you probably shouldn't play a tank, bro, or I'm going to become that tank in this matchup.
Right.
So it kind of forces you towards a fighter or towards a marksman to try to neutralize, and we are going to get Jax. Let's go.
Okay.
Jax is something I've been wanting to see more of in the LCS for so long. And there's not really a lot of early ganking power or collapsing power, you know, onto this Jax. So Jax should have a pretty good time in that side lane. Going to be so exciting to see if he can neutralize the matchup early, because if you can get past those early items, get to even an armor item or two on that Jax, you can outlast that Undying Rage and really take over in the side lane.
I'm so excited that we get this battle-heavy top lane matchup. This is such an exciting head-to-head between these two teams, and my eyes have been on the top lane mainly just because Summit and Bwipo are so fun to watch, and now we get the Tryndamere versus Jax flavor.
She got robbed!
Taking more time to find them.
And this is before we even take. Yes! Let's go! We're one cup down and you want to FF?
The degeneracy of Mr. Dash. More beer pong next week after LCS on Sundays. So we'll see you then, everyone.
Lights, camera, action, my friends. It's Cloud9 and Team Liquid head-to-head at the top of the table, both sitting on only 2 losses after 12 games of regular season play, and somebody's gonna lose another one here today. Oh, Blaber loses his flash before even 1 minute into the game.
Man, I actually love when people mix stuff like this in. Some people will be quick to call it, that's cheesy. You're just looking for a 5-man rush down mid with Nautilus home guards, trying to find a flash hook. But mixing that in every once in a while keeps your opponents guessing. They have got to pay respect to the fact that you are willing to go for that aggressive play at level 1. Sometimes it works. I think it was pulled off against Jizuke in the fastest first blood the LCS had ever actually seen. So this is going to be a really exciting one. Core down a flash, Blaber down a flash as well. So we'll see if that does come into play here whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Not just Blaber, but CoreJJ's flash used to start that one off. Of course, Blaber on the Trundle here, it's not like you're looking to see Trundle make some crazy early game plays. He's not like a Lee Sin or an Italy or something like that. CoreJJ on the Nautilus, however, that could impact the 2v2 down there in the bottom lane.
And you have to think about if jungle intervention comes down, right? If you have a 2v2 around mid where the Trundle and the Viego show up and Trundle's missing a flash, that could be impactful. And also Trundle could actually try to go down towards bot side and gank CoreJJ knowing he has no flash. So both players are going to have to change how they're playing up a little bit here. As Winsome, no leash as Trundle was starting topside, so they have the early lane control, and we'll see how they want to play this out in the 2v2. Likely trying to get the push here, just whittling down those minions, but excited to see CoreJJ and Hansama playing it again. In these duos, they have been so impressive in the 2v2s. I think that has been such a strength for them throughout this entire split, and CoreJJ has yet to lose a game with TL in the ones that he's playing. Both their losses were actually with Ayla. This duo has been monster strong.
Well, top side here, they're already trading blows back and forth. I do want to go ahead and mention to everyone that wasn't already paying attention that the junglers started on opposite sides of the map, so that means with Trundle pathing towards bottom, we might see that gank down there like you were talking about, flashless Nautilus. Santorin could have the opportunity to influence this top lane matchup if it gets really spicy. We know that Tryndamere is one of those iconic champions for liking to all in early, so oh man, I really can't wait to see how this top lane ends up looking. Back here in mid lane, Ryze versus Viktor is probably not going to be a lane where you see a whole lot of kill threat or big pressure, big plays without a lot of jungle involvement.
Exactly. Only really if the junglers get there do you expect to see too much happening. And so much of Jax versus Tryndamere is just about the Counter-Strike usage. If you can actually get him to use the Counter-Strike and be able to E out and not get hit by that stun, then you have the opportunity to go for aggressive plays. So, the usage of the Counter-Strike is so important. You have to pay respect to the fact, that Tryndamere can sometimes look for those aggressive all-ins, not necessarily at level 2 or level 3 or something like that, but especially post 6. Tryndamere can all-in you under tower if you waste your Counter-Strike, so you've got to be playing really, really intelligently around that. But is Santorin up to this top side? Summit does have Ghost Flash, he has his spin, so he should be just chilling here. Santorin's going to clear out the ward, but it may mean that Summon has to play a little bit more safe now, not knowing if the jungler did stay around, and we'll see if he's going to have to kind of wait for the push to come to him.
And it's difficult, too, because the Scuttle Crabs are up right now, so he knows that Santorin does have something else to do, at least for the next 10 seconds or so. It looks like Santorin isn't going to spend any extra time up here. Yeah, Summit is very cautious of the fact that he could still be there, but Santorin has already left. He's back in the base, has his Sheen. That'll help his clear plenty. We have not seen the recall from Blaber until just now, so he'll go back to base, grab the boots, grab a Ruby Crystal. And I can't remember if it was with you or Kobe, but we've had the conversation before about how a lot of times you'll see tankier junglers like to get boots earlier on in terms of their clear to help speed them up and move them along.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the boots can be very, very effective. There's a lot of tank junglers now that are just doing lucidity as their first item, especially the pure tanks. That map movement is a very important part of it, just getting around your camps very, very quickly. Bwipo kind of slowly getting whittled down. He does have the biscuits, but he's actually out of corrupting potion charges. Of course, he has TP advantage, and with that spin through the minions, the wave will again come to him. But this is that difficulty. In the early game as Jax, you don't really have sustain built into the kit, where Tryndamere can just constantly be spamming out that Q, staying healthy on these short, chippy trades. So Bwipo will be pushed back, but if Blaber actually stops this recall, they could potentially dive this. He's going to have to be really good with the Counter-Strike here. With Blaber behind him, he's got to play it out. You just have to let the Counter-Strike run full duration after they get aggro.
There we go. Going for the stun underneath the turret. Blaber's been stunned up. Blaber dies. It's first blood over to Bwipo.
Oh, that is actually so well played there by Bwipo. You don't want to prop the Counter-Strike. You have to just let it go full duration because that is what's giving you that survivability. Going in then with the last second of that Counter-Strike, landing the stun onto Blaber there, who didn't quite have his flash, by the way, so it did end up actually mattering.
Yup.
Because he could have
get out of the way.
out.
Yeah, he would have been able to avoid the last turret shot if the flash was available, but Bwipo outplays it. Let's take another look at how this one happened as Blaber went up for the play.
Yeah, so doesn't have his flash because of the level 1 5-man mid. This is the knock-on effect of that. Sometimes in games, it really does make a big difference. So Bwipo, he held the Counter-Strike here. You have to wait until they take our aggro to pop it. You cannot do it early, so he takes the first hit, immediate Counter-Strike, holds that till the very last second, Q's in, double Counter-Strike, flashes the spitting slash there from the Tryndamere, and then is able to get the kill with that final tower shot.
Blaber might have been able to walk out of that last turret shot. I don't know if he would have died to the minion aggro after, but he stopped and chomped a minion as that last shot was priming to fire. I don't know if he could have got out of there even without flash or not.
Yeah, I think what he was looking for was the passive heal for Trundle on the minion there, thinking, okay, if your read is the tower shot's going to go off, but it's 4-man top. Summit did just get 6, though. He has the ulti.
Yeah, Summit can survive this one at least for a while. They're going to force the ulti out, and now Bwipo walks away. He was tanking the aggro. Summit still very low here. Santorin swoops right back in and picks it up. Team Liquid, they get it done through the ulti. 2-1 lead.
That was actually so well played on both sides. A lot of Tryndameres, I think, would panic ulti very early in a 1v4. He held it as long as he possibly could, but without summoners available, there just wasn't really any outplaying it because TL juggled the tower aggro perfectly there. Multiple members getting down to like 5-10% health, taking the maximum amount of shots. Of course, on the other side, there will be a cost. They are losing plates to the Jinx on the bot lane from this roam. So 1.5 plates, do go down. Obviously, you're only cashing in on that completed plate, but that is a big deal. Dying without TP is so painful. So when you are playing double combat summoners, the ganks matter that much more, and getting dove on a stacked wave is absolutely brutal. So that alone now is going to put Bwipo into a pretty nice spot here. He's up a couple hundred gold. Obviously, he got the first blood in the 1v2. His team comes up, pulls off a successful dive. He should be up a little bit of experience as a result as well. And he's going early armor. I didn't actually expect him to go towards armor items until, maybe after 1 completed item or sometimes even 2 completed items. Jax will work towards that. Yeah. But if your job is just to neutralize, as he said it was, early Warden's Mail is actually really intelligent because it's about the long fight in Jax versus Tryndamere. When you can get multiple instances of your Counter-Strike off in a fight, that is more effective. When you go these glass cannon Jax builds, Tryndamere can often, as soon as your Counter-Strike ends, he can just kill you during his ultimate, right? Like you have to be able to live through the full ultimate, and that comes down to multiple spell rotations, being able to kite out and being tanky enough that this guy can't just 100 to 0 you during the duration of his ult. So smart itemization, I think, here from Bwipo. He's going to play it safe, because Jax definitely outscales in this matchup, especially if you are willing to build armor. You're 100% going to win late in the 1v1.
Unfortunately for Bwipo, as he was trading with Summit up there, it looked like the minion block stopped him from getting the cannon minion underneath the turret, so that one always feels a little bit bad. But total gold on the side of your screen right about now. Santorin is leading the charge, having one of those 2 kills on the side of Team Liquid and being involved, getting himself out there and making sure that he's farming up effectively on this Viego to be a powerful threat in his own right as the game goes on.
And you notice how Bwipo is now taking these aggressive trades. This is actually to keep Tryndamere off the wave so he can't build his Fury bar. That's why he was willing to drop some CS there to aggressively trade, but Summit had the timing on the Honey Fruit, and actually, you know, gets, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them. Like, he got a significant amount. So between that and the refillable, he's right back to full. TL, though, starting this up. Summit not going to really be able to do anything about it by himself, but 3 other members here from C9 are coming. Will they be willing to take a straight-up fight? Zeri is going to have to move faster, so will be a 5v4 if TL can make it go slow.
Super Mega Death Rocket already missed. Summit's looking for the damage under CoreJJ, and they'll find him. Cloud9's already got one, but it's going to be traded back. Support for support. Add another one to the pile as Bwipo falls over. 2 for 1, 3 for 1. Cloud9, 4 for 1. Cloud9 is about to ace Team Liquid. 9 minutes into the game. Fudge finds a little bit more damage, forces the flash back over the wall. But good Lord, Isaac, TL fell apart in that fight.
And meanwhile, in the bot lane, Berserker is fighting the tower, and guess who wins that one? It's a 1v0.
Yep.
Jinx is getting paid, while the rest of his team wins out in the 4v5. Some great team fighting there from Cloud9. Coming up absolutely huge. The Jinx ult did miss. Zeri was on the move, so if Cloud9 wants to fight, they knew they had to fight immediately. And TL engages. They go here on to Winsome, but Winsome survived for so long with the gray health. Getting back out. Yes, there is a reset coming in for Santorin, but not before the Jax had already gone down. As the Counter-Strike expires, Bwipo is pretty vulnerable there. And Summit has lethal tempo, fully stacked up, pops the ulti, smacks down Bjergsen. Nice sidestep on the laser to survive there from Hansama. It is Summit coming away with that Rift Herald as well, so really big fight for them. You know, off of what was a good early few minutes for TL, where you're thinking, okay, you know, Summit has been shut down. He now has 3 kills and a Herald in pocket.
Oh, man.
So he can actually get solo gold potentially on all of these plates and really give himself, you know, another kill's worth of gold. He's been slingshot ahead of Bwipo.
And when you look at the build, it's what you were talking about with the Tryndamere, with Hullbreaker receiving nerfs.
Yeah.
Players are just deciding, okay, well, maybe that's not worth it. Let's just go for the Gale Force instead. Let's just go for more of that extra mobility, the execution power too.
Exactly.
Gale Force's active is an ability. It is not blocked by Counter-Strike.
And to me, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're just playing for push, you know, you can just go Hullbreaker, but if you want to actually play to kill people, Gale Force, that completion makes you much more dangerous, especially when you're talking about 5v5. If you're going to group ever, you lose the Hullbreaker passive, and having that gap closer, you know, kind of reduces your reliance on the flash, which is one of the problems Tryndamere often has in teamfight, is you're so reliant on the flash against any champion that has dash. But they're going for Bwipo now. Nice Counter-Strike.
Bwipo has used the Counter-Strike. He's got the stun, but now he's got to be careful. Blaber going in. Subjugate's been used, but Santorin's ready to strike back. They know that Tryndamere still has the ulti, so there's no point in trying to use a Viego ult or surprise burst him, anything there.
Do you have Counter-Strike?
Bwipo keeps the fight going. He has the Counter-Strike still, but he's got 100 HP. I don't like that call. Summit picks up a freebie.
Yeah, way overestimating himself there. You know, I think what he was hoping for was just the immediate proc of the ultimate when he went in on Summit, but Summit has just had such a good read of the damage thresholds. Yeah, he is not getting scared whatsoever. He knows exactly how much damage you're going to do with that empowered W, you know, from the Jax with the Sheen. He holds on to it. He doesn't pop the ult early. So yeah, Bwipo has his Counter-Strike, but the Counter-Strike does not last as long as the entire Tryndamere ulti. Now this means the whole tower will go down. TL in shambles on the top side here. As Summit, I mean, Dash had it right, man. His analysis is looking good. You can have all your reasons in the world for TL, but C9 only needs one, and it's Summit.
Who would be more correct? An established desk of 3, like, powerful-minded analysts or one dashy boy with some faith in a top laner for Cloud9? Summit is running over the game right now. He's got the Gale Force. 100% kill participation as a top laner. If you're talking about
Tryndamere.
If you're talking about top lane as an island, everybody booked one-way flights there for a vacation. It has been all about that top part of the map so far. And Cloud9's up over 3,000 gold 13 minutes into the game. TL has got to somehow recover this position.
Yeah, it's rough, man. You know, you got to play to slow it down now, but C9 is going to be playing with some pace. They are very strong at this point of the game. Summit is moving around the map. He's just not going to AFK split push. They're going to look for a dive on bot side. He doesn't quite have the ulti, though.
CoreJJ and stopwatch. Summit's going to be tanking some damage, but CoreJJ's already down. Summit, he's gone. He was not able to ult because the cooldown was just barely not ready. That was over aggro from C9. Yes, they got their kill, but TL punishes.
Yeah, TL do punish big time. You know, I think C9 was expecting that TL would pay them more respect and just be backing off, looking for the retreat in that situation. But with Santorin around, they're able to punish. They get the kill, they get the shutdown. This is also buying free time for Bwipo up on the top side. Yeah, he's still going to be down a lot of kills, but at the very least, he gets the full reset the wave. There's no one up there to actually answer. Fudge doesn't have TP, and Summit doesn't have TP, obviously even taken. So you're going to lose minions. You're going to lose some tower damage here. Bwipo instead just going to take the quick reset. But he should be very soon approaching his mythic if he doesn't have it quite yet.
And this kind
that's
of
going to be a big deal.
Brings up the conversation that we've had before about these top laners like Tryndamere, these big carries, right? And when you should just play more selfishly, stay in your lane, play for the 1v1, keep dominating that, versus the traditional thinking of, oh, I should help the team, I should bring my lead elsewhere. Trying to bring that lead elsewhere this time actually halved the lead. It was not the right call. So I'm curious how that's going to change or maybe stay the same as we go forward, as Summit seems to not be shy about being ready to help the rest of the squad.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you know, he's happy to make those moves, and in this case, I think, you know, he assumed, I think, that TL would pay the respect of him having the ulti, but either TL had the read or whatever happened. They didn't quite have that ultimate available. Does get punished now. He has no spinning slash. They're going to have to use the Gale Force in retreat.
Yep.
But it can also be one of those situations where there is pressure when you're playing against Jax. Like, even though Tryndamere is a great split pusher, Jax kind of just does the 1v1 thing better, right? You know, when you get tanky, when you get on multiple items, you have the additional armor, you know, from the Grandmaster's Might, from that ultimate, plus Counter-Strike is just immuning all of these auto attacks coming through from Tryndamere. So when you get to that point where you can outlast, it becomes so hard for Tryndamere in that 1v1. So it could be a case where somebody's feeling a little bit of pressure to make good on his lead now, to move around the map and try to get some of his other members fed so that they can take over the rest of the game when he can no longer beat that Jax.
We got a fight down here in bottom lane. Hansama popping the ulti and going in very aggressively, but the super mega death rocket takes him low enough for the burn from Winsome to take him out. C9 looking for another one here. Santorin tries to get away, but Fudge has the laser to stop him in his tracks. C9 pick up 2.
Man, it's an absolute bloodbath. The two top teams in the league. 14 kills in 16 minutes. It's a banger so far.
I love
Everyone is scrapping back and forth here. You know, oozing confidence in these plays, feeling like they're going to be able to outplay their opponents, that they're going to be able to win out in all of these little skirmishes, but it has been very back and forth thus far.
If I wanted to watch Farming Simulator 2022, I'd be worried about the tractor meta. I want to watch PvP, and we are getting it here in this game, and we aren't going to stop anytime soon. Bwipo coming down there trying to interfere with C9 taking their second Rift Herald. They're going to go ahead and secure it anyway. Once again, it'll be Summit picking up the eye.
Yep, Summit. I can't even remember the last time I saw a top laner get 2 Rift Heralds.
I know. I can't remember the last time I saw him get 1.
Yeah, that feels good. I mean, there's a lot of firsts here. Tryndamere having more kill participation than just on the person in his lane. Like, that's never happened before either.
Yup. We got some wild happenings here today, but Cloud9 still maintains a 3,000 gold lead. Bwipo, no fear dealing with Summit up here. Ever since Summit went down bottom and Bwipo was able to get some of that farm, get some of that damage under the turret, this Jax is plenty confident moving forward here.
So anytime the Tryndamere doesn't have rage, you can just leap strike in, you hit him with the W, you get this really quick trade, especially if you have your ulti passive ready on the Jax. You look for these really quick trades where you try to chip him down and deny access to the wave so he can't stack up the rage bar. Because if he doesn't have rage, he can't look for an all-in. And as long as you do not commit the Counter-Strike to that trade, there's not a lot of recourse for the Tryndamere. Because if he doesn't spin away, then you can actually commit the Counter-Strike, right? So Bwipo's just looking for these quick trades, only committing the Counter-Strike when Tryndamere is fully locked into that fight. But TL, again, moving towards topside. You can see C9, though, anticipating this. They are going to respond this time around. 3-4 members heading top.
Okay. I mean, TL brought some damage there. Yeah, Summit got taken low, but again, going back to your point about his patience and his discipline with his ulti, they're not getting the ult out of Summit unless they would absolutely have lethal damage, and Summit recognized there's no way they burst him down there.
And this is great for TL because they get the TP off Fudge. Bjergsen is pushing bot. He can probably take that tower, and they're going for a kill now.
Oh, Fudge didn't have a chance. Shut down by Bwipo as the C9 mid laner sticks around too long.
They get the kill top. They get the tower bottom from Bjergsen, who was on the push. Berserker getting something back, though. Both teams playing actively through these side lanes. It's the push and pull, trying to draw extra members to one spot of the map, and they're always punishing elsewhere. Throughout this whole game, we've seen these two teams going back and forth. Berserker taking the tower mid here. When TL was committing heavily towards that Rift Herald fight earlier, he's pushing that tower bottom, and now Summit heading back towards bot side to cover that push from Bjergsen. He's got a Herald of his own, so this first tower is dead. We'll see if he can actually walk it in for a charge on the second. I think that's what they're going to go for here with Blaber and Winsome hovering. They want to get that second push. And Bwipo, though, he's committing to the fight.
Bwipo is so strong in this 1v1. Bwipo has a Trinity Force and a Frozen Heart. He can do so much damage. He jumps in with the counter-strike, ready to go once more. Has to back off. Winsome tries to get that last tongue lash to take Bwipo out, but it won't happen. The Herald, however, makes its way into the second turret. So that mission that they came down here for is accomplished.
It is successful. They do force out the ulti, but Cloud9 will retreat back to the dragon, so it's one dragon apiece here. Bwipo just going straight Frozen Heart second, which I actually really like. The CDR is so valuable here. In this matchup, it's about, as I've said, getting the multiple rotations of spells out there, being able to leap strike in, get a low cooldown to hop back out. Multiple counter strikes almost always is going to guarantee you a fight win. Santorin, though, steals this away. Will he continue the fight? Doesn't look like it, but yeah, the armor is going to help him survive. Maybe moving towards like Merc Shreds or something here as well. I'm curious if Bwipo's just going to go Trinity Force full tank. More commonly I do see like 2 kind of dueling items and then into tank.
Right.
But you can do hybrid builds. You can just go pure tank as well because with just that Triforce and your innate tankiness as jacked with the Counter-Strike with the ulti, we saw that in action. You live through that ultimate from Tryndamere, then you go back in and try to finish it off.
Yeah, once Tryndamere with ulti versus no ulti is 2 entirely different champions, right? No ulti Tryndamere has to be so respectful of everything around him. He's not durable. He can't stack up the Fury to have meaningful heals like you were talking about, and things become difficult. We'll continue tracking Bwipo and how well he's able to threaten any sort of lethal damage on Summit as our game moves forward. But I do want to talk about Fudge as well, because Fudge currently sitting on 2-1-4. That death up in the top lane was actually the first time he's fallen this entire game, and they're going to need him to be powerful in this game like you were talking about with Summit moving around the map trying to get everybody else ahead, because if eventually Tryndamere cannot win the game for you through that split push, your team fighting's got to be on point. So I'll be looking at Fudge in these fights for clutch lasers and good ulti placements.
Yep, him as well as Berserker. That's kind of the late game win condition here, when you look towards the 5v5. Because C9 has not just like all in on side lane. Yes, they did go for Tryndamere, but you have Tahm Kench, Trundle, Viktor, and Jinx. That is an incredibly powerful core 4 for the 5v5. You can even just ult the Jax in this team fight, and you're going to steal a lot of tankiness from him. And Hansama, he is going the Triforce Titanic build. This one does not scale nearly as well as a crit build from Jinx with those base AD nerfs. Zeri does fall off more than she did before.
And the reason that I mentioned Fudge specifically is because of the fact that Cloud9's comp has these 2 massive physical damage threats in the Tryndamere and the Jinx. Trundle, also another physical damage threat of at least moderate severity with the Trinity Force in inventory.
Yeah.
Fudge is the only AP, right? He's the guy that they're not going to be itemizing towards. What does Frozen Heart do against Magic? A big old donut. That's why it's so important for me, from my point of view, to look at how Fudge is stacking up.
And you just look at the itemization on Santorin and Bwipo, right? Death Dance, Tabbies, Frozen Heart on the top side. It's a lot of armor actually already being purchased up there. So, definitely agree. There is that extra pressure on Fudge to be able to get that damage done, and Counter-Strike doesn't keep you safe from lasers, unfortunately.
Nope. Well, TL has brought this game back to a much closer game state from the 3,500 it was earlier. Just about a 1K lead here for C9, as TL is moving through the Cloud9 red side jungle, putting down some wards, trying to sweep out some of their own. Of course, you can see a ward from each team placed in that red buff pit, where there is no red buff right now. We got about 2 minutes before the next Drake spawn, so I like the fact that Team Liquid is trying to control this bottom side jungle quadrant, trying to make sure that Cloud9 has to think twice every time they move into any territory close to this pit.
TL has been doing a good job of that, and you can see this kind of forward vision. It's this kind of section on the map that they're trying to get some sort of coverage for, and C9's going to be trying to battle to clear that out. That is how you enable your split pusher. When you contrast that on the other side of the map, this whole top jungle area, there's nothing up there really as far as vision for C9. So Summit can really only push to the river and then back off over and over. You cannot try to push very aggressively in. And the Ryze is going to be difficult for him to actually finish off as well, because this is also a tank Ryze. He's going to be going Frozen Heart here too. He has Phased Rush to actually remove the Mocking Shout. That's slow. So there is a high potential to just be able to kite out with the Everfrost and Frozen Heart. Even if you can't kill the Tryndamere in the 1v1, Bjergsen should be able to withstand. So I think TL are very well set up to actually deal with Summit in the side lanes from this point.
Well, as we talk about kiting, I do need to mention that the Navori Quick Blades are completed for Summit, and this is one of those items that causes people to come dangerously close to ripping their hair out against Tryndamere sometimes, as he just seems to auto-attack, spin, auto-attack, spin. The cooldown reduction on this thing is really incredible, coupled with the
So here's the thing, when you're playing against Ryze, you can never auto-attack him, as we got.
You can't auto-attack spin if you can't auto-attack.
All you can do is spin and then wait.
Well, now Summit's going to get jumped on here with the Realm War. Bjergsen and the Minion Boys show up, but the rest of the team's not there in time to shut them down. So those poor little minions are just going to get cleaned up instead, as Team Liquid will continue setting down vision, trying to push forward, choke Cloud9 out of more of the map, and you can see that gold lead is down to 3 digits now. TL are controlling things for the time being.
Yep, and they're going to be able to knock down this tower as well, and that's going to get even smaller there. Bwipo is going towards Death Dance, which I have a suspicion he may be. I think it's going to be almost impossible for Summit to actually get a pure 1v1 anymore. So for C9, it's going to become about that objective game. It's going to become about the 5v5, where I still do think they have the edge. As Bwipo gets more CDR, like everyone thinks of Jax as a split pusher, but when you get high in levels, when you have a lot of points in your skills, when you have a lot of CDR, you can start to team fight, because it becomes very difficult to actually kite out a Jax when the leap strike is really low cooldown. Like, it's already at 4.4 seconds. So it's like, yeah, he leap strikes in, he pops the counter strike. The counter strike is an under 5-second cooldown at this point as well. I don't think it starts cooling down until the counter strike expires, but still, like, you can actually get multiple leap strikes off to where you're chasing down someone like Berserker, even if they have a defensive flash, or even if they do get devoured up by that Tahm Kench. You can start to have a lot more power in the later stages of the game in those 5v5s. Yeah,
powerful farmed up Jax is a nightmare for these immobile AD carries that have to deal with him running at him. So, and you can see with the Caulfield's Warhammer in inventory, Bwipo is going to continue building towards more of those bruiser-style itemizations. Cloud9 was coming bottom to potentially collapse on the TL top laner, but since Bjergsen was nearby to shadow him, they sort of have that early alert, and TL's able to disengage in time. So let me ask you this, Azael. With Cloud9 having now lost the lead that they had built up for themselves, with the game being at a very even game state, what do you think we really need to see here from either one of these teams? Who should be the first one to move next in order to have the best shot to win here?
I mean, I think Cloud9 is pretty happy stacking dragons. If they can grab the next dragon for themselves and try to force TL to come to them, because I actually believe they have a really powerful 5v5 setup here. Yes, we're talking a lot about side lanes because there's Tryndamere, Ryze, and Jax in the game. But I think C9 should be happy to fight straight up in a 5v5. You have Jinx, Viktor, you have a lot of protection with the Trundle and this Tahm Kench, so I think they just want to keep going with this game plan, continue pushing out lanes. As long as you're capturing the objectives, TL will eventually be forced to 5v5 you, and I think that's where Cloud9 is going to try to look to win. For TL, I think it's more about not allowing them to get to that point by delaying them from getting towards Soul or being able to threaten a Baron, by constantly having the waves pushed, by constantly having pressure in the side lanes, and by stealing away a dragon here or there to really delay the stacking towards Soul.
The Soul being infernal as well just adds a little bit of extra heat to it with how much damage that thing can bring into a fight, especially when you have the amount of range that Cloud9 has with both Viktor and Jinx on the squad. It means that the time that it takes to get that next proc is not going to matter too much, because they'll be able to apply that proc whenever it's ready, right? Long-range rocket, you've got a laser from 1,000 units away or whatever. But back here in mid, Hans also still farming up here on Zeri, has that Trinity, has that Titanic like you were talking about, the build that receives some nerfs, but he's still heading towards that one. Still 1-1 and 2 here on this champion. Both of the AD carries, man, around 300 CS. They have been farming it up.
Yeah, they have absolutely been farming at a pretty absurd rate there. Berserker, he's going to be going IE 4th, so he's going to spike really, really hard when he does actually hit that with 80% crit and the IE completion. Very high DPS build already, though. Went for the LDR, knowing there's going to be a lot of armor on the other side. I think it's a pretty smart build, and PD is, by far the highest DPS Zeal item. It's, obviously much higher straight-up DPS if you're auto-attacking than something like the Rapid Fire, because you have that passive stacked up. So really, really high damage build here. Same thing for Fudge, going towards Shadow Flame, going Void Staff third. He is going to have a tremendous amount of damage here in the tank, and Bwipo's got to be sitting on a lot of gold because he's in bottom forever. Yeah, he's over 2,000 gold, so I'm expecting him to go Death Dance, but I'll be curious to see where he takes us.
And I really like the fact that Phantom Dancer was the call here for Berserker, because when I see the rapid fire cannon build, I look at that as, okay, you're just trying to be able to get the rocket off on whoever you need to hit to get your first reset and get excited. Yeah, but on the side of TL, you have 2 melee carries that are going to be jumping in, an AD carry that often gets in the mix of everything, a melee support, and a short-range mid laner. Like, I don't see rapid fire cannon being necessary to apply rocket rockets to dudes in this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Plus, I don't think that there's anyone that you just get that one crit on and the fight's over, because everyone's pretty damn tanky, right? There's a fair bit of armor on the Viego. Jax is going to be tanky. He did go Death Dance as expected, so really powerful for the side lane. It's a tank Ryze. It's a Nautilus. Like, everyone has some armor and some beefiness. Even the Zeri has HP built up. Going the buffed Blade of the Rune King, third there. So that's a bit of an interesting build, a departure from what we used to see in the past. Obviously, this has been changed on the most recent patch. So going to be excited to see how it does pan out, but it's really slowed down the pace of the game over the last, say, 10, 12 minutes. But Bwipo getting caught here.
Berserker just delivers the death and the super mega death rocket, and now CoreJJ's got to try to get away. Cloud9 have already found one pick, and they're about to get two. Double kill over to Berserker. The man's getting excited, and he just can't fight it. Team Liquid running away, only 3 left alive. C9 control the map. C9 head over to Baron.
Yeah, they're going to go into the Baron right now. Santorin does have Flash. He does have Smite. They have a chance to try to steal this. Bjergsen basing, so he's probably going to TP back. We'll see if they want to try to contest this. It's going down quickly, though.
It is burning, man. Over the wall goes Winsome. He's going to try to zone Santorin away, make sure there's no flip for this, and C9 get Baron.
Yeah, that's just really well played. He does spend his summoners to do it. TL are trying to rush to the dragon, but C9 say, no, you don't get this either. Fudge comes down, steals away that crab, and they're going to just TP to secure themselves this dragon as well. Moving to Soul Point. Really smart stuff here from C9, getting the maximum off of that pick onto Bwipo, who got caught out. Has a lot of armor, but not a lot of MR, and Fudge absolutely roasted him there. It is now Baron. It is now Soul Point. Cloud9 are completely set up for success, and it's all off of this play. Bwipo hopping in. I don't think he expected there to be actually a ward in that rush, and he should have warded over, waited to see, and then gone. Instead, he just straight up hops in to try to clear it out. I think he was hoping, oh, I can do this sneaky little flank play where I kind of jump into this side brush, and then Cloud9 maybe overextend and they punish them. But now Blaber and Hansama going in 1v1. You don't want this one, Blaber.
Yeah, this is not a Trundle favored matchup here. Hans just going to kite him out, but Berserker, we're talking about kiting out Bwipo. Back-to-back mistakes here, back-to-back unneeded deaths. Hansama now hops, skips, jumps over the wall, tries to get away from Summit. Summit's going to continue that chase, but Hans can kite it out. He's got CoreJJ waiting nearby to try to protect him. Nice rocket, nice flash, nice follow, nice kill from Cloud9. CoreJJ wants to try to get out of here now. He's got no way to stand and fight. Honestly, Azael, League of Legends is one of those games where sometimes it doesn't matter how well you've played 95% of the game, because a single mistake can cost you so much. And that Bwipo death in River that led to the Soul Point, that led to the Baron, it has led to this. As Blaber's now here in the bottom lane.
They're trying to end right now.
He's probably going to die to Bjergsen, but the rest of the team's already back in the base.
That's
Cloud9, they're knocking it over. They're going for the win. Santorin comes in trying to stop him. Summit, he still has the endless rage. And C9 takes out Team Liquid.
What an explosive finish. Cloud9 get the maximum from the pick there onto Bwipo. And even at the end, Trundle doesn't need to win that 1v1. All he needs to do is actually stop Bjergsen from getting back to the base, because Hans was dead, Bwipo was dead. Your jungler and support cannot stop that push. Ryze needed to be there. So Blaber just acts as the sacrificial lamb, chasing Bjergsen, stopping the recall there, so that Berserker is on the push, can finish off the game. Cloud9 sit alone at the top of the table here, taking down Team Liquid, moving to 11-2. And what an exciting game it was.
I was so happy with the way the game went. We got to see high-tempo gameplay, both teams trying to make moves, trades back and forth on the top side. We got a team fight that nearly ended in an ace for first Herald, right? There was so much going on in this game, but then the sins of the Bwipo are the sins of the team, and Cloud9 purified them in fire on that one. As soon as they got that Baron, translating it over to the Soul Point, going straight down mid lane, it just ended in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bwipo got punished so hard for that. I'm sure he's going to want that one back. I think he was trying to look for some sort of a flank angle, jumping in on his pink ward, but he was spotted on Vision and then kind of just brazenly walked forward to clear out the pink, gets caught out there, goes down, they lose Baron, they TP for the dragon, they're now at Soul Point, and then from there, it just felt like Cloud9 were cruising, because they had gotten into this zone